Man, look, we were talking about a German automaker earlier in this podcast, and about some things that are coming to reality here. We first spoke of this many months ago over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Parks County Guru. Make sure you head on over there and subscribe to that thing for us so we can keep growing.
Uno momento, por favor.
Okay.
I hate to say I told you so.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. So, you like subscriptions, Keith?
Oh, love them, Jay. Love handing out money for random things every month. My personal favorite in our house is the subscription we pay to Lexus every month to start our car remotely.
Oh, but wait a minute.
Love it.
Car
but if you go and
subscriptions?
you buy a Nissan Frontier, you get the remote start. You don't have to pay for it. I'm just saying.
Ooh.
Okay.
Well,
anyway, yeah, love them.
To
Love
that,
them.
to that end.
Can't stop thinking about who I can offer, recurring revenue to next month.
BMW said they were going to do it, and here you go. They have. BMW heated seat subscriptions are a real thing, and it will cost you $18 a month, man.
What you talking about, Willie?
Yep, that's right. Your creature comforts, your heated seats, your heated steering wheel, your connectivity, all of these things are going to cost you money extra on top of what the base vehicle cost is. And we're not talking about adding it as an option. It will cost you to add it as an option, but it is a software over-the-air update.
Yeah, so
is how they're going to be pushing these things.
Cheaper to build them that way. You just build them with everything in it. This isn't anything new. Car manufacturers have been doing this for years and years and years. I've got a 1999 Ford 3/4 ton pickup. It's a Super Duty. And you can go on the forums and look up like remote start. Like I was at one point thinking about like remote entry and, does it have, like, what if I wanted to just put a key fob on it because it's got power locks and power windows. And there's all this documentation online that says if you just go and look, like 90% of the ones that were built already have the box under the hood where you just plug the module in.
Right.
It's already there. They've already
Right.
wired it. Why? Because it's cheaper in the factory to just have them done all the same and crank them out and then just charge you that extra, like just to plug the box into it later. Right?
The other thing that does for them as the manufacturer, as you well know, we all walk around with our smartphones, our smart devices, and we are continuously being pushed to update specific apps, and this gives the user a better service, a better experience.
Yeah.
And I think that this is what it's coming to with auto manufacturers as well. They realize that by doing this, they can control by over-the-air updates and improve upon an existing product. And I think that in itself is the bottom line here. I think that they recognize that there may be an opportunity to improve upon, just not every. It's cheaper to, like you said, to supply the vehicle with what it needs to get there than it is to have a vehicle without that and one with, because then you're building two different vehicles.
Well, and let's take this argument a little bit further, because you might be saying right now, well, I'm going to buy a car and I'm never going to pay for that. Okay, well, this is a BMW. How long are you going to have this car? How long does the average BMW owner keep their BMW? A couple of years?
Exactly.
3 years?
Yeah.
Lease? 5 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Is that car dead in 5 years? Is it done, or is it going to another owner? Maybe that other owner wants to pay for that subscription and have his heated seats. So just because you put the wiring, the components, the coils in that seat, and the first guy that owns it doesn't use it, doesn't mean that's wasted for the life of the vehicle. You follow me?
Right.
So
absolutely.
The argument of this being too costly to implement, I think they're looking at this from the other side of that coin, which is somebody will pay for it in the life of that
absolutely
car.
They will. I mean, we said we would never pay $1,000 for a smartphone, and it happens every 2 minutes. Somebody, I'd really like to know what the number is there. How often does a new smartphone get purchased? We should check into that.
I mean, and what's it cost, Jay, to, I mean, we're just theorizing here, but the components in that seat that create the heat, right? The switches, the power, the wiring, the coils in the seat. I mean, are we talking, like, to the manufacturer, are we talking $50?
Yeah, probably electronics-wise. But if you think about this, though, if here's the other side of it, why not stick a seat in there that has the capability of doing that?
Right. Well, that's
instead of building a whole other seat that doesn't have the capability to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's more costly for them to produce two different types of seats than it is one.
They're going to make their $50 back in 2 months.
Totally makes sense, right? So let's get down to the figures here. So on its Connect Drive store in South Korea, BMW's Connect Drive store in South Korea, BMW owners can pay a monthly fee to have a creature comfort such as heated seats. It costs 24,000 Korean won, or what is basically about $18 at the current exchange rate. Or you can get a 1-year plan for about $176, or a 3-year subscription for $283. And I think you can just buy it outright for $406. One shot, you're done. You get it for the rest of your life.
I would go for the lifetime unlock.
I would too. Now,
but
here's
as soon as you change ownership, that resets and locks itself back up.
Absolutely,
right?
It does.
Yeah.
It is a return on investment. It is exactly what Rivian tried to do, or they basically presented during their IPO that they were going to use subscription revenue as part of their revenue, and they're banking on that. And we said then, who's going to do this? And then all of a sudden, BMW's already doing it. There's a lot of other auto manufacturers out there that are already doing it. You're just not hearing about it as much, but you're going to see this more and more with each new vehicle that you purchase. Now, here's the beauty of this. You can do this anytime. It's an over-the-air software update. So for right now, let's say you can't afford that, for all these creature comforts, heated seats, steering wheel, Apple CarPlay, all these different things that at the end of the day, it's going to tack on, say you want to buy it outright, cost you an additional, say, $4,000 in options, right? Whereas, but I can get just a snippet of it just to see if I like it. Maybe I don't like it. Maybe I only want to try it for 3 months to see if I want to continue on, and then maybe at that time I will purchase the full meal. I think it gives the consumer, it's not really a bad thing. I think it gives the consumer the options to choose or delete when they see fit. That's my take on it. Maybe you only want to use a heated seat during the wintertime. Maybe you're not a cold-natured person and you don't want it in the summer. You think about it, because the heated seat doesn't get utilized every month.
It depends on where you live, but yeah.
That's exactly right.
So there is a potential downside risk here because this is me, Jay. I'm always looking at where could this bite us, right? All right, so this is horrible and you shouldn't do this, but I know people are going to do it. So that $4,000 that you talked about, that if you just go for the lifetime unlock and it adds $4,000 to the cost of the vehicle, right? Mm-hmm. So vehicle prices are already going up,
right?
And we've reported on this before. And you guys make sure you're subscribed over on the YouTube side. You can find all of our segments there, and this is one of them, where people are now extending out their payment plans from 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, right?
Yeah, some cases 10.
So people are gonna add this to the cost of the purchase of the vehicle, go for the lifetime unlock, and then this is the ridiculous part. They're gonna then pay interest on that $4,000 month. So they have a monthly fee that they didn't want to pay monthly because they couldn't afford it, and they added it to the price of the vehicle, which ups that monthly fee, and then they're going to pay interest on that monthly fee, and then that's going to end up extending the loan term, meaning from 5 years to 6 or 7 or so on. Well, here's where that could be dangerous to the automotive industry. Yes, they're going to make more money on the interest over time, but historically, what has driven the time frame that people come back to buy new cars? It's typically been 5 years. A lot of people buy a new car every 5 years.
Yeah, 3 to 5.
What a coincidence, Jay.
Right.
5 years happens to be the standard term for most auto loans historically, right?
That's right.
At least in the past 20 years, right?
Right.
Yeah, what a real coincidence. People get them paid off, and then they decide to go buy a new one. Mm-hmm. Well, if it's going to take people longer to pay off their automobile, then I see the potential that BMW is not going to sell as many cars every year because people are going to keep their BMW longer, and now it's going to be a new car every 7 years, right?
So what do you do?
And that could hurt their sales line, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So this is it's kind of a balancing act. They've got to figure out where that sweet spot is.
Where can we get a return on the investment? Where can we get a return here? What do we get?
Yeah.
And this is how you do it. Now, let's get. Before we end this is the last thing I'm going to say about this. I am in complete agreement with the direction that this is going. I have no problem with it. I think that this is where we're at with technology, which provides these types of opportunities. We have an ever-changing environment in the automotive industry right now as we speak, and it's changing by the minute. When you have a big player in this industry, a new car manufacturer like Stellantis, come out and says that they estimate that it will make a whopping $23 billion a year by the end of this decade on subscriptions. That is huge, man. That is amazing. So when you're looking at bottom lines, just as Keith just said, the normal rate of exchange of a vehicle from old to new is changing. People are hanging on to their vehicles a little longer, and this might encourage them to do that even because of the price of the vehicle itself. So I think it's going to be a win-win for consumer and manufacturer. Yeah, and it's just where we're going, guys. So there you have it. Is that Pink Floyd?
It does sound like the one at the opening to Money, doesn't it? It's.
Yeah.
I did not sample that from Money for the just to be clear, but yeah.
No, you did not. You did not. And that was my bass licks. So there you go. Hey, we always have fun with. Oh, by the way, mid statement here in this podcast, because we haven't said it enough. Thank you for listening to us if you're listening, and thank you for watching us if you're watching us over on YouTube. Make sure if you are not subscribed, that helps us out and it helps us continue to do this. So please, we appreciate all the subscriptions and the listeners, but tell a friend. Just make sure you get the word out that we love doing this and we want to continue to do it. So head on over to partscounterguru.com. And make sure you go to the podcast tab up in the upper left-hand corner and click on that and choose whatever podcast platform you want, which may be Spotify, it could be Apple Podcasts, it could be Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn. We're on every available podcasting platform out there, so make sure you subscribe and tell a friend. We also are an Amazon associate, and if you're doing some shopping and you want to go to Amazon, just go to partscounterguru.com and you'll see that Amazon banner up there. If you click on that, it'll take you right to Amazon. You sign in, you go do your shopping. What the nice thing for that is it puts a little bit of money in our piggy bank to help us keep doing these things, and we love this. So it's all transparent. We don't know anything. What you're buying is private to you. We have no idea who you are. We have no idea what you're buying. We just know that we get a little love when you buy something through our website. Also, go over to youtube.com/partscountergurus. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn it from red to gray, hit the notification bell up there so that you are notified when videos come out like we have done today. And that really helps us continue to grow and get to some of these trade shows that you guys love for us to cover. So thanks again, everybody, for watching and or listening. So, all right. Oh, Robotaxi. Cruise, what are you doing, man? This is an imperfect world, isn't it, my friend?
This is interesting. As someone who just recently returned from the Bay Area, I was in San Francisco last week, which is where this is a GM product. Am I correct there? This is their test program, and they're operating a lot of this in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. This is kind of funny, man.
It is. I mean, it's very similar to the remember the video we shot, which
Police,
you can go
YouTube, same company,
YouTube.com, and same area, same area, right? Yeah. Go to youtube.com/partscountergurus and go over there, and you'll see that Robotaxi video we did where the cops pulled over a Robotaxi for not having headlights on, but there's nobody in the car.
Right.
Anyway,
so this is again a GM pilot program. happening in San Francisco, in the city proper. And we had some sort of a swarm. A bunch of them all bundled up together, Borg style, right? In a Borg collective. And it was kind of inexplicable.
They said it was at the intersection of Go and Fulton Streets.
Okay.
In San Francisco.
We were right there.
In the Bay Area, yep.
And it was in the middle of the night, like midnight, right? Mm-hmm. Stopped in the middle of the road. And about 20 minutes later, somebody from Cruise, an employee, had to show up and, I guess, reboot the cars. I don't know. They had to dissipate. So if you look at the pictures, it's like it's literally like just a swarm.
It's like a parade of cruise robotaxis, man. They said as many as let's see, Cruise is. Oh, I'm wrong there. But they were saying it had an issue. They had an issue earlier in the week that caused some of their vehicles to cluster together, as they say.
Right. This is their statement.
This is their statement, and they still really have not revealed what happened. They said they resolved it on their end, and no passengers were impacted. And they did apologize to anyone who was inconvenienced. But this is the thing that Keith and I have been preaching about this type of technology.
Yeah,
it ain't perfect.
Interestingly enough, couple things here. Why San Francisco? Okay, so a lot of the areas that they operate on, and I've looked at their service map, it's 30-mile-an-hour zones or less. So they don't want these cars ripping down the road at 50 miles an hour because the liability is too high. The likelihood of injury or fatality increases with increased speed. If there's something the car can't brake for or stop for.
So what's the limited speed that
30,
they have for it?
30 miles per hour. And a lot of those service areas where they run these, that's the top. The speed limit isn't higher in those areas, so they're not impeding traffic.
Did you say there was a specific time frame that they can or cannot be on the road? Is that something that they have
we
in there?
saw them out. I mean, I don't know. 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know why that is.
They're also saying, I think, too, I heard that they can't even go downtown or onto highways and are prevented from driving at times
That's
of
a
heavy
speed
fog
thing.
and rains.
That's a speed. Okay. So now one of their competitors, we saw a lot of these. In fact, SideShot was trying to talk me into doing reserving one, but it's a very limited service area. And they, I'm talking about Waymo. Now, we've talked about Waymo on this program. Google owns.
We've talked about Waymo than I want to talk about.
Okay, there you go. Now they're operating a lot of Jaguar crossover vehicles as their primary service vehicle, and they're really cool to see. In fact, I've got some footage from a dash cam that I just reviewed, by the way, everybody, and I might pull it in and throw it in here. They have these spinning they have all kinds of detection devices all around the vehicle, on the roof, on the front. On the sides, on the back, there's constantly little spinning devices. And Waymo does not allow their vehicles, their fleet vehicles in San Francisco to go driverless. They are manned. They're not full autonomous. Now, they're in Phoenix as well, and I think they may be autonomous in Phoenix in some locations, but not in San Francisco.
Interesting.
So Cruise is actually ahead of Waymo, I guess, if you want to look at it that way, in terms of being fully driverless at this point.
Right.
But clearly there are some bugs to be worked out.
Right. There is, definitely, man.
It's just so limited. Depending on where you want to go, you're not going to go far in these. Right.
And you talk about it being a problem. They said that this robotaxi service comes just a couple weeks after a Cruise test vehicle blocked a fire truck responding to an emergency. Cruise asserts that its test vehicle behaved as designed and yielded to the fire truck after blocking it for 25 seconds. Now, this is very similar to the issue that Tesla had, where when an autopilot, it's crashed into emergency vehicles. So there's something to do with the technology that they are using, where these the lights, the emergency vehicle lights,
confuses it, man.
It confuses it. Now, and I don't know what that is. What I do know is this, for example, like emergency vehicles, when they come up to a community and it's a gated community, they don't have the code. But what it is the gated community, the sensor, the vehicles. There is a sensor that they install that it picks up the vehicle, the emergency vehicle flashing lights,
right,
and it will open up for them. That's part of that.
You
so
potentially just released a life hack to thousands of viewers and listeners out there to sneak into your neighborhood now, Jay.
Oh, you better delete that.
We'll get that one in post. So, yeah, so the opposite is also true, though, on these vehicles. It's kind of an override, right? Like, it detects that emergency vehicle, and it shifts, no pun intended, that vehicle shifts into an altered way of behaving.
But these lights, for example, the emergency vehicle lights are designed specifically in a manner, and they're supposed. This is why, like, if you can buy these things if you're a licensed person to have the lights on your vehicle. Mm-hmm. That's why it is a crime to not have some sort of official documentation that proves that you are an emergency. Say a volunteer firefighter or volunteer police officer or whatever, to where you can get to a scene very quickly by throwing a light on. You can't. Unfortunately, you can go purchase these emergency vehicle lights. So there are some vehicles out there that have them on that shouldn't have them on there. I know that. And if you get caught with them, you're in trouble.
Well,
so
sure.
There you go.
Now, interestingly, and I'll just comment on this as well. We started this when you said, this technology is not there yet. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. Mm-hmm. Do you remember, what was this, maybe a year ago, Jay, that we reported on this program a spot in Yosemite where Teslas were crashing into rocks?
Yeah. It's a split in the road.
Fooling the autonomous sensors in the vehicle. I actually visited that spot a couple weeks ago, multiple times.
Did you take a picture of it?
I have pictures. Yeah.
Did you film
anything?
anything?
I did. It's odd. It's not like any junction that you would typically.
So it's not like a Bermuda Triangle or anything, right?
No, it's just, and they do stuff in that area sometimes to deal with traffic, or there's renovations going on, and and there's weird one-way roads that some areas that doesn't make sense. You feel like you're going the wrong. Like I literally looked over to Mary at one point and went, it's just like we're driving in the UK, like you were driving on the wrong side of the road. You had traffic going this way, and we were going this way, and it was backwards of what we would typically do here in the United States, right?
Yeah.
And so the cars are just, it's confusing their software,
Yeah.
So
that's it. And they have to work through those problems. It's not a perfect situation. We're a long way away from autonomous driving.
That's it. I feel like we're pushing this too quickly. Really, that's what it comes down to.
Let's work on the technology a little bit more. I believe you. I don't think we're ready. Right. We're nowhere near that yet, and we'll get there. The technology will get there, but it's still going to be a long time, and there's a lot of things that AI cannot do that humans can do, and no matter how technologically advanced they are, they still have their shortcomings, and this is a fine example of that. So there you go. Oh boy. So yeah, you'll make sure you.
I've got
giving
it,
away.
Yeah.
So we got two more things to talk about. Do we do we want to do both?
Sure. Let's just do them shorter. We can get through them quickly.
Yeah, because this is for our audience, guys. We're trying to give you
these are important.
We're trying to give you guys as much information as we possibly can, and gosh, I wish we had 4 hours to sit and talk about some of the stuff, but we don't. So let's get right to it, Keith. Can you please cue up Bert for this? This is something that I think we should talk about.
I hate to say I told you so.
Thank you, Bert.
I could just put that on a loop and come back in 10 minutes, and it would probably still not be the number of times we've.
I think I hear an echo from Keith. Toyota ready to dominate EV market after doing what, Keith?
Playing the long game for 300, Alex.
Yeah. Okay. So, didn't we say that?
It would not be much effort at all for me to go pull a clip of me saying those very words.
Yeah. And where can they find that clip, Keith?
Over on our website at actually on YouTube at youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Just subscribe and go through the list.
There you go. Yeah. So Keith and I have discussed this about Toyota ad nauseum, about the fact that they have been basically a no-show in the EV market. And wow, here we are. Them being as patient as they have been sitting back, patiently watching the industry trends, what's going on, and have now decided to really kind of get their toes into the pool. And there's one key component to this, which is also something that we have said over and over and over again. The battery technology that we know today will not be the battery technology that you will see in 10 years.
It's generation 1.
That's it.
Basically, you're helping push things forward, but don't expect this to be the standard.
Three factors that have really worried people about the EV market battery, which is, first of all, volatility.
Right.
Price. Right. Weight.
Range,
that's 4. Right. And I mean, there's probably a couple more that we could add.
Well, but if you're General Motors, catch fire,
Right. Exactly. So,
Right.
But we have said on this show, the solution to that problem is a solution-free battery.
Right.
Going to a solid-state battery. Do you know who owns most of the patents to solid-state batteries?
Well, that would be Toyota, Jay.
Correct. Hello. Now do you understand the long game, folks?
I hate to say I told you so.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the alternative, realistically? That Toyota's just giving up and they're just not going to sell electric cars? There's way too much money being left on the table in the car. They're not stupid.
No, they are not stupid. They now may be the go-to company for solid-state batteries, owning. Japan basically is solid-state battery central right now, basically. So the solid-state battery definitely represents the huge jump forward. It'll change a lot of things. Like we said, weight, size, price, volatility, range, all those things. And so Toyota has waited around for that right moment, and now they are dipping their toes in, like I said. So
so couple details here on the timing. We talked about Sir Richard Dyson, and he abandoned his EV endeavors because of the cost of those solid. He was going to go solid state, and basically said it was cost prohibitive. It wasn't feasible to build a vehicle in the current generation and do it with anything other than the current lithium offerings. Okay.
Right.
And just to back up the whole, okay, if you don't believe us that Toyota has really seriously invested in going solid state, the patents that Jay mentioned, Toyota owns 1,331 patents for solid state technology. Let me just, one more time, 1,331. Followed by Panasonic, a battery company, who holds less than half of that.
Isn't that crazy?
445. Now tell me again that Toyota's not playing the long game with solid state batteries. Go ahead, I'll wait.
Right. I mean, you're absolutely 100% correct. Can you cue Bert one more time? Just cue Bert.
I hate to say I told you so.
Wow. We also know that Toyota has partnered with Hino on their hydrogen fuel cell. So Toyota is one of those auto manufacturers, those manufacturers out there that has been extremely wise in choosing their position in this EV market. Instead of focusing on, let's whip out as many of these new production vehicles that will not be relevant.
How many can we sell next year? No. We're in this for the next decade, and how many can we sell in that decade and the decade after that?
And what are they playing?
The long game.
Right. And we have preached this to our listeners over and over and over again that is exactly what they were doing. We've said this, man. They're not standing around twiddling their thumbs. They're working. They're looking at the bigger picture they knew that the battery technology has to be. It's the catalyst, I think, for the future of this industry.
I don't think they want to deal with the current generation, the issues that we're going to have with the current generation EVs in 5 to 7 years.
Right.
I think that's going to be too expensive of a problem, and it could sour consumers, and they recognize that.
Yes, absolutely. Now, look, I don't know if you guys knew this. I think I did, but Toyota only plans on going fully electric in 2035, and it will test solid-state batteries in its hybrid and plug-in portfolio first. The most likely candidates are the Evergreen Prius and their top-selling RAV4 Prime.
But look, if solid state's not quite ready, they'll push that back to 2037 or 2030.
Sure. They're not like GM saying, "Well, we're going to stop making internal combustion engines, man. We're
saying,
done.
We're going to do what we're going to." This is an Apple approach.
Right.
How everybody's been watching Roadhouse, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
How will I know it's time? I will tell you.
Right. Exactly.
When it's time, Apple will tell you what they're about to release. When it's time for Toyota to go solid state, they will tell you. They're not going to tell you before it's time. Okay?
That's right.
Orson Welles didn't come out and start telling people that it was time to make wine until it was time to make wine.
Right. Absolutely, man. There has been some really wise decisions with some of the Asian manufacturers out there. But there's also been some poor decisions, too. I think that Hyundai just jumped right out of the gate with their Ioniq line and Kia. Hyundai and Kia both. I mean, they are pushing these first-generation EVs. But that's their game. I mean, let's face it.
Gain market share and hope that they come back in 3 to 5 years for another one because we're keeping the price down. It's like we just talked about.
Right.
If they're going to end up on an 8-year note to pay for this car, we're not going to be able to sell them another one in 5 years or 4 years. Or maybe we will, but a lot of them will still be upside down. And so but that's a different market strategy for a different market segment.
Right. It is. It definitely is. And look at and this is the thing. Okay, so I am my real job. I think you guys have heard this. I am a research and developer in the automotive aftermarket. So I have to do a lot of research on these automotive platforms and heavy-duty diesel and all that stuff as well. But the automotive side is quite tricky. Hyundai is just unbelievable with the number of engine platforms that they have, and they have been known for this. I mean, there's the Alpha, the Beta, the Gamma, the Kappa, the Theta.
I feel like I just joined a fraternity. All right. Yeah.
Sigma.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And now they're up to the NU platform, and then now they're the Smart Stream, which is basically NU. It's just different technology there. But when you're looking at the list of engine variants that Hyundai has, it's just insane. So they have been playing this type of game for years. So this is nothing new. And like you said, their approach to the market is just flood it, man, just with whatever. And what I hate about that as someone who's in the aftermarket and you're looking to do all this research is they'll have a platform in an application that may only be a couple of years, 2-3 years, and it changes. It moves on to something else, and it makes it very difficult when you start housing product on a shelf.
Yeah.
To rebuild these things, it makes it really
they're
tough.
treating them like disposable products, and
again,
that's their marketing strategy. And they entered the market as a lower cost alternative, and there was a different crowd that they appealed to, and some of those people. They intentionally made commercials around here, and it was like, if you think you can't afford to buy a new car, we can sell you one.
Exactly.
And that was by design. But there's another side to this coin, kind of before we leave Toyota, or maybe in a segue away from Toyota, that Toyota has managed to avoid it's kind of a perfect storm. We went through the whole COVID pandemic. There's still ramifications of that happening. Supply chains have been an issue. We've talked about this many, many times. Because of these part shortages, it has affected manufacturing of vehicles. They can't make enough.
Absolutely.
That's why the used car prices went through the roof, because there weren't enough new cars to go around.
That's
And
right.
Toyota has been able to avoid some of that chaos on the EV side, where like companies like Rivian, who RJ has come out and said, we got issues, man. We can't build these things fast enough because we can't get the parts for them. Now, they recently turned a corner with that, and the shareholders are very happy, myself included, that they beat estimates on how many they were going to produce. Did you see that news?
Yep. I did, man.
But
this is yeah.
something that you have said many, many times, Jay. I mean, like, to the point that I could just
I hate to say I told you so.
on a loop and come back in 10 minutes, and we probably still wouldn't be close to keeping count. And I said to you before we started this program, I feel like we haven't talked about this enough because you've brought this up before, but we haven't really focused on it. Okay.
Right. Yep.
So here it is, and I want you all to listen to Jay because this is a big deal, and I
Right.
promise you, this is going to be a factor if you go out and buy. If you're either thinking about buying a car now or you just bought one.
Right. The bottom line is, and this is not something that I pulled out of the air. This was from J.D. Power. J.D. Power basically said that new car quality took a nosedive this year. Big time nosedive this year. And we said this to be careful when the semiconductor shortages started happening, along with the COVID situation where they couldn't get supply, the part constraints, shipping troubles, and all of this stuff factors into
So
it.
break it down. Explain to everybody why that affects quality. Why is it that if there's a supply issue or a delivery issue or a timeliness issue, how does that make my car more likely to have problems?
Well, there's a supply chain, and we've talked about it. You got supplier A, B, C, D, E, down the list. They have people that are qualified for this. The way manufacturing works, they get their product in what we call a JIT, or just-in-time mode. So it shows up and it rolls right out of there and goes right to the assembly line, and they put it together, and that keeps costs down for the manufacturer. Well, when A supplier is out of it, they move to B supplier, and then they start supplying.
Okay, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why is supplier A and not...
Highest quality, price, everything about that supplier gets the high rating because...
So it's not random. They
Correct.
made supplier A because of factors determined by their partner.
That is correct.
Okay.
It's high quality product, and that's why they won the contract to be supplier A.
Okay.
They supply for this platform. This is what we do. But when they can't supply, they have to go to supplier B.
Then I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I'm really trying to overstate this point here. You don't just go from supplier A to supplier D or E, right? You go to B next.
You go to B, but when B is not available, you got to keep in mind we have production going on, and you got to build vehicles.
By the time you get to supplier D,
right,
that's not a.
It's not a good position.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a good position to be in if you are a manufacturer, but you know that going in. So because of that, when you get into the supplier D, you know that there's going to be some shortcomings. Typically, there's documentation on that. They're not going to list you as a supplier or even get on the supply chain list without knowing some of the consequences. Okay, so we both said this, that if they're going to supplier D, then there's going to be certain things that they're going to cut out, like maybe rear AC units are going to be not working because they didn't have the product to build it, or just some of the it's been mainly the electronic quality that has failed the automotive industry lately, and typically the majority of the highest percentage of the quality defects or issues that people are having are with the electric vehicle market. Why is that? Because of the huge electric vehicle market push.
We just talked about this earlier. There's a rock quarry in Troy, Missouri that up until, it may still be there. But the quarry's still there, but it was full of mid-sized GM pickups, the Canyon and the Chevy Colorado, because they couldn't finish the builds on those. They were mostly done, right? But they were awaiting a final component or two or a handful. Same thing with what is it called this season, Jay? It was Bronco Mountain and it was Bronco Snow
Ice Mountain
and,
Ice Mountain and Mud Mountain or whatever, Mud Flats.
Why is that there? Because Ford couldn't get all the parts they needed to finish those Broncos.
They
right?
still can't. They still can't.
Okay.
They are still having their woes.
So
yes.
Are they willing to, at this point, settle for supplier B or C to get those into a consumer's hands, or are they going to wait for A?
Right. I think that it depends on how much it bites you. I think that they have to level that option. They have to look at those options. And the thing is with Ford, for example, we talked about it on a previous podcast. Go to partscounterguru.com or go to youtube.com/partscountergurus and you'll see a video on it where we were discussing these problems that these manufacturers are having. Look, here's the deal. Let me just get to this. GM, they are building vehicles and they're going so far as to decontent some of these vehicles. And what I mean by that is reduce what they offer, what they put in them, or stop functionality, that is. GM previously removed start-stop functionality from specific vehicles, while Ford once shipped out SUVs without rear climate controls. Ford has recently I don't know if there's an official recall yet, but they've had catastrophic engine failures, which that's the video I was referring to that you can go check out. This is why they found an increase in vehicles slipping below their respective segment averages, is what they said. Buick, believe it or not, ranked number one. Dodge and Chevrolet all showed really, really good measurable improvements. Now, I don't know what that means. Is that because they are in-house producing some of this stuff themselves now?
Well, we know that to be the case, yep.
We said, who was it that was 3D printing?
It was General Motors.
It was GM, a little gasket that was holding up production. So they are slowly but surely. These problems, these problems that we're seeing with quality, we told you this was going to happen. We also told you that you might hold off on buying a vehicle until we get beyond this semiconductor and or supplier chain shortage problem that we have. And that's going to be a while. It may take a couple of years before we get to that point to where I personally am comfortable with buying a vehicle at that point. I got to know what's going in there, man. So this is a big problem.
I'll tell you that
buyer beware.
I've got an RV on order. It's an expensive purchase, and we are pretty much to the point now where I haven't canceled the order. There's no real advantage to me canceling it yet because I can back out of the deal without monetary consequence up until the day it's sitting on the lot. Mm-hmm. But I'm hearing things and being told things about the components that I want and having to settle for example, the Cummins generator that I wanted was a bigger one, and they're going to put them in this model year because they can't. Right. They've got to consolidate all their parts and make one for the whole line. They're not going to give you
That's
options.
crazy. See? Right. There you go. So I would like to quote Road and Track on this.
All right.
And here's why I'm going to quote this, because they are echoing exactly what we have been saying. I think
they've been listening to us. I swear we got to this first.
Quote, and I quote from Road and Track, "If you don't absolutely need a new car right now, this report is just another reason to consider putting that purchase off. The industry has been in a really tough spot since the start of COVID, and things aren't improving at the rate that we'd all like. Here's to hoping that next year's study tells us a completely different story." Please cue Bert.
I hate to say I told you so.
Hey, when you know, right?
And you'll know if you're subscribed, guys. So make sure you hit the subscribe button over on YouTube, please, and thank you. Tell a friend, and keep watching.
Yeah. Man, oh man. Keith, it's I don't get joy out of having to tell someone I told you so, but in these cases,
there's some validation there.
There's some validation there, yeah. We knew it was coming, so there you have it.
We read the comments, and sometimes we get some, "You guys don't know what you're," kind of stuff. Yeah, we're not perfect, but there's a reason why there's gurus in the name.
Right. Yeah, we've been around a little bit. We've been around for a minute or two. So, wow, what a great show, man. It's always a pleasure to sit across the desk from you and have these conversations. I absolutely love it, and I hope that our fans out there do. And again, thank you for listening to all of you who are listening to us and following us. We appreciate it. Please tell some friends out there. Follow us on social at facebook.com/Parts Counter Gurus. You can go to Instagram. That is instagram.com/The Parts Counter Gurus. We are on Twitter, where Keith is very active over on Twitter for us. And our handle over there is at The Counter Show, which is what you just listened to today. And we love doing this, so help us out and give us some love. So,
I got something special, Jay.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'll see next week. See you in person.
Yeah,
so we might.
I think so.
Might
I
put
sure
something
hope
out.
so. I hope we can work something out. Yes, it's a business trip, but
well, everybody, stay plugged in. Watch the socials. Make sure you're
that's it.
subscribed.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
115 years ago, a little lady named Edna was born in a very small town in Missouri, Leadwood, Missouri. Just like not even on the map. It's on the map, but you get my point. All right.
I do.
Kind person, who she went on to make the lives of almost everyone she met better. She's kind of actually a lot like the female version of that Mr. Rogers guy that we grew up watching on TV, right? Just kind of a different person, but really impactful.
Be my neighbor, would you? Could
yeah,
you?
but probably
neighbor.
less corny, I would say.
Gotcha.
All right.
Okay. But there is corn in Missouri.
Yeah, there's lots of it. And really just made friends with everyone she met. I can't state that enough. We don't talk about politics a lot on this show. Some of you may have noticed that. That is by design. It's my personal feeling that we as a world have become hateful and hurtful to each other. And I think a lot of that is because we are made to think that it's either you're on my team or you're the enemy. And we're very quick to deal in absolutes. Some of that is because of the media. Everything is sensationalized to get clicks and eyeballs, right? Jay, we know a lot about
We do.
clicks and eyeballs and how everything is driven by one of or both of those two. And this is nothing new. Mark Twain said, if you want to be uninformed, don't read the news. If you want to be misinformed, read it. So it's not like this concept of sensationalism is something that the current generation of news media has come out with.
Right.
But this lady Edna was different. She treated everybody as a friend. And she was such an impactful person that my son shares a part of her name in his name. And that was partly to honor her and partly because I hope one day he'll be curious enough to research the person that she was, because they never met. I'm trying to keep it together here. I'm thinking.
I hear you. I see you.
I'm thinking.
I'm
Bugs
with you,
Bunny.
brother.
And so I can see sort of the mindset of, well, if I'm that kind of a person, I'm going to get taken advantage of. And I I'm guilty of that too. Trust me, this is a difficult thing for me, everybody. This lady, halfway through her life, literally in the middle of her life, became a widow. She lost her husband to a heart attack. He was a smoker. Ironic that we kind of started the show talking about that. She couldn't drive. She had to learn to drive in, I think, her 50s. I mean, born in 1908, had a husband. Women back then, she didn't work. They were poor. But she was one of the happiest people that I, had ever met. And I have this was from sort of an interview. What was the best birthday you ever had and why? And she said, when I was 16, I got to go work on my birthday. I got to help buy baby clothes for my brothers that were born 2 months later. That's how she spent her birthday. She had total of 8 kids. She was born into a family of 8 children.
Wow.
The concept of what it takes to be happy, I think, is a little different. Did you have a honeymoon? Where did you go? Nope, no money to spend. Just really happy. I can, well, if I'm soft, or the perception of being soft, people will take advantage of me. And this is one of the toughest people that I've ever known. Fell and broke her hip in her late 50s, early 60s. Had a house that was not yet complete when her husband died. Had no job. Had to learn to go to work and drive herself to work and had to learn to drive. Crawled the equivalent of about 60 yards, a 2-story house. Had to go up to the 2nd story to get back in the house. Upstairs about 60 yards with a broken hip. Drug herself up to, remember those old rotary phones that we had on the wall?
Yes.
There was a counter, like a bar.
Yeah.
Had to pull herself up by her, I guess, upper body to get to the phone to dial. Back then it wasn't even 911. It was, the county sheriff or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah.
There was no universal help number. So just one of the toughest people that I knew. So I refuse to accept that if you are calloused, you are somehow better off. I think the lesson here, and I'm still trying to piece a lot of this together, but you become what you choose to focus on. And so many of us, and I'm guilty of this too, just choose to focus on the negative, and she chose to focus on happiness. I just firmly believe that if we could all follow that path, it would be better. She passed away in 2007. Even at 98, it was too soon. It always seems to be the case for the good ones. So here it is, everybody. This is, in closing, this is the story. Every one of us has a choice every day. You have to be the change you want to see in the world. The thing that I remember her telling me, oh boy, you guys are getting
Bugs
bonus
Bunny.
mileage today, right?
Bugs Bunny, brother.
More
Bugs
than
Bunny.
anything else is love one another. And time and time again, I've tried to go back to that. I hope this sounds okay in the, I don't have to fix it too much in post. But that was it. The thing that I remember her telling me the most was love one another. And remember that most of us want the same things. We just have different ideas about how to get there. I don't think it's us versus them.
Right.
So, with that said, thank you guys for listening and for making us a part of your lives. Remember to be good to one another. Happy birthday, Grandma.